Alright guys, welcome back. Hopefully you had a nice little break. Get some coffee and some water. Alright, so just bear in mind that I'm doing this kind of live, so I may make some errors and things like that, so which will be great because you can see how things have to get readjusted. Let's see, so let's just put in a dark ground line. I actually like a really solid ground kind of an image. So I am going to make another layer, bring it below, and I'll name that ground. And here I am going to get my polygon lasso tool. So I like this one just because then I could just click. So I'm going to start clicking here because this is kind of on the side of the hillside and these lines represent the hill. And I'm not going to trace it perfect. I'm just going to actually blow right over the line so that I don't have to deal with it. And then here's the ground. And then it goes down kind of like that. Down the hill. And I'll close it, double click, and it'll close that loop. And then I'll take a solid black and then do that. So now I've kind of covered up the ground, and so it really has a nice base to it so that it doesn't look like the building is floating. So I think I'm good with that. Yeah, I think we'll just leave it at that for now. And then on top of the ground layer, I'm going to pop in another layer, and let's start coloring the base. Well, actually, you know what? I think I want to do the shadow. So I'm going to create another layer called shadow. Now, if you were to do this in Revit and things like that, you could turn on the shadow and bring the whole image in with the shadow. Obviously, that'll be a tremendous amount of help. This one I did it in AutoCAD, and but it's okay because if you kind of understand light and shadow, you could definitely kind of mimic that. So just pay attention to this one because I already know which part is popping up and towards me and what part is pushing behind, I guess. So just kind of copy what I'm doing. I know that this surface is behind these two blocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my polygon lasso tool, and so this guy is casting a shadow this way, like this. So I'm going to come here, so you're going to see a shadow here. I'm going to say shift, and then maybe it's coming, this guy's maybe, if it's a deep shadow, it's going to come like that. And I'm just going to, so here's that. And I'm on the shadow layer, and I'm going to just Alt backspace. Now, don't worry that it's all completely blacked out. I wouldn't worry about it at the moment. I'll tell you why. And then I know that this guy's in front of that guy, and then these guys are in front of this guy. So this guy would, if the sun was coming down, it would cast a shadow down here, and then it would actually go around this because you won't see it. And like these little details, like right in here, makes a big difference. That little doohickey there. And again, don't be too concerned that it's too dark. And then I know this guy's in front of that guy. So it's going to cast a shadow from here coming down, and then maybe it'll just disappear. Double click, like that. And now this is where I use a little bit of artistic freedom. This guy's technically in front of this guy, and so there wouldn't be any shadows here. But I do want to trick the eye to say that, hey, there's some surfaces that are further back and things like that. So I'm just going to put in a fake shadow line. Obviously this is not real, so for those of you guys that have an art background, don't be saying song that's not real. I already know that, but I'm going to fake it. So I'm going to add a little shadow line there, and what that does is just kind of pushes this surface away from that. Totally fake, but it's all good. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come in here and just kind of make a box. Oops. Deselect first. Okay, where's my cursor? There it is. Add, which is a simple shift button down. Yep. So I'm just adding some fake shadow lines just to really push this box out. I know that it looks super aggressive right now. Be patient with me. This is below, push back behind this, so this guy, will cast a shadow on this column here. So I'm going to go back to my polygon tool, kind of give it an angle like that. This is in front of that, and the sun's coming this way, so there wouldn't be necessarily any shadow. But I'm going to cheat anyway. And give it a little gap. Come in here and add that too. Alright, and then these windows are pushed back from the surface, and so is this door. So these get a shadow this way. Shift to add to the selection, or you could just do that up there. So, and I'm going to do both here too. Shift. And this window will get a small shadow too, so I'm going to make a really tight one here. And then color them all. Alright, so I think I got most of my shadows down. And yeah, I think I'm good to go here. And the trick with this one is that it's all black, and that's what you want, because you don't want to have to remember, like, was it a light gray? Was it a medium gray? All I do now is I bring down the opacity down, and then you get this really soft shadow. There you go. Alright, so then I have the shadow layer. I think I want my shadow layer to be at the very top, so I'm going to just move it here, and it's all good. Right on top of the ground again. And I may have to move these layers back and forth. I don't really know yet. Let's just put in some colors. So we'll just say it's going to be building colors. Now, if you have multiple colors, you could have it in different layers, whatever makes you kind of more efficient. I'm probably going to just try to keep it all in one layer, I think. Let's just see. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll change my mind later. So let's just assume that this is like a really, pristine white stucco or whatever. So I am going to kind of trace this box here, and then hit Alt to remove the outline of the window. So now I have this box wrapped all the way around. So we'll see, in general, doing white is probably going to be deadly in Photoshop, but let's just see. So you want to pick, white, which is basically 0, 0, and 100% brightness. And let's just, I want to make sure I'm in the color layer and fill that white. Right? Yeah, it's really bright. So, alright, you know what? Let's make it white-ish. Bring this down to, let's say, like 70. Yeesh. Let's go 90. Okay, let's do that. Let's do 90. So maybe that's white. I know these guys are concrete. I actually should put in a little shadow here to separate, because I know this guy's in front of that guy. It's real simple. I'm going to go back to the shadow layer, make my selection, and maybe I'll have a bigger box. Now you definitely want to just paint it black, and because the opacity is already set to 38%, it'll come in super light. So that's why you know, I've asked you guys not to worry about it and just fill it in black. Okay, so let's do this concrete and let's add some textures to it. So if you guys open up your assets folder, you know, you should have downloaded this. There will be some textures here. I'm going to show you guys how to do a couple of different things, but for now, let's just get a random texture like this one. Let's bring it in. Whoa. And then we'll just resize it. And let's just, yeah, that's cool. Let's just do that. So I have this texture here, and what I'm going to do is turn that off for a second, and I'm going to just now isolate all my concrete pieces. So I'm going to take this rectangle here, kind of add that. Let me just go to my add tool here. You know, like I told you guys early on this, you know, in the very first week, Photoshop is all about selection. If you guys know how to select well, it makes your life a lot easier. So here's that. Then I'm going to go back and remove. Oops. Remove. You know, I don't have to be clean because I could actually hide it by pulling in the ground in front of this texture layer. So I'm just gonna. Okay, so now I've selected everything that is in theory my concrete. So then I want to now turn on this layer. So let me turn this off just so that you know what I'm doing. So guess what I'm going to do on this concrete layer? I'm going to do a mask, right? So here it is. So I created a mask, so then I only see the concrete of the area that I want. Actually, this is not great because this is all one texture. So yeah, I think I'm going to do it slightly differently. But anyhow, I can take that and then put that right on top of my building color, if you will. And then, because then the lines show on top, right? So then you get this cool little concrete. Actually, it doesn't look bad. I think I'll keep it. And then I'm going to reduce the opacity a little bit because it's a little bit too in your face. So that's kind of, I'll do that. Oops. All right, so we're 13 minutes in. I'm going to pause, give you guys